Did you know that 2,000 years ago, a Chinese inventor created a device that could detect earthquakes from hundreds of kilometers away? It sounds like science fiction, but it's a true story from history, and it's one of the most incredible inventions you've probably never heard of. Let's travel back in time to ancient China during the Han Dynasty. This was a golden age of innovation, a bit like the Silicon Valley of the ancient world. And in the heart of this inventive era was a man named Zhang Heng. He wasn't just an inventor, he was a brilliant polymath, an astronomer, mathematician, scientist, engineer, and poet all rolled into one. Think of him as the Leonardo da Vinci of the East. In the year 132 AD, Zhang Heng unveiled his masterpiece to the imperial court. It was a magnificent bronze vessel, about 6 feet in diameter, shaped like a large wine jar. This wasn't just a piece of art. It was a machine. He called it the Hufeng Didong Yi, which translates to instrument for inquiring into the wind and the shaking of the earth. We know it today as the world's first seismoscope. Now, picture this device. Around the outside of the jar were 8 dragon heads, each facing a different direction of the compass: north, south, east, west, and the points in between. Each dragon had a small bronze ball delicately balanced in its mouth. Directly below each dragon head, on the base of the instrument, sat a bronze toad with its mouth wide open, ready to catch a ball. The real genius, however, was hidden inside. No one today knows for sure what the exact internal mechanism was, because the original device and its detailed blueprints were lost to history. But based on historical records and modern reconstructions, we have a pretty good idea of how it worked. Inside the bronze jar, a central pendulum was suspended. When an earthquake occurred, even one that was too faint for people to feel, the seismic waves would travel through the ground and cause the pendulum to swing. But here's the clever part. The pendulum was designed to swing in a specific direction, the direction from which the earthquake wave originated. As the pendulum swung, it would trigger a series of levers and cranks inside the machine. This internal mechanism would then push open the mouth of one specific dragon, the one pointing towards the earthquake's epicenter. Pop! The bronze ball would drop from the dragon's mouth and fall perfectly into the mouth of the toad waiting below, making a loud, clear, clanging sound. This sound served as the alarm, alerting the court officials that an earthquake had happened, and, crucially, telling them which direction it came from. At first, the scholars and officials at the imperial court were skeptical. They looked at this strange bronze contraption and probably thought it was just an elaborate piece of decoration. For months, it sat in the capital city of Luoyang, silent. People started to whisper that maybe Zhang Heng's invention was a failure. Then, one day in 138 AD, a clang echoed through the hall. A ball had dropped from the dragon facing west. The court officials checked the records, but there were no reports of an earthquake anywhere nearby. They couldn't feel a thing. Many started to mock Zhang Heng, claiming his device was faulty. But Zhang Heng was confident. He insisted that an earthquake had indeed occurred to the west. A few days later, a messenger arrived on horseback, exhausted from a long journey. He brought news from the Gansu province, over 400 kilometers to the west of the capital. A devastating earthquake had struck there, on the very day and at the very time the seismoscope had given its warning. Suddenly, no one was laughing. Everyone at the court was stunned into silence. Zhang Heng's invention had worked perfectly. It had detected an earthquake from hundreds of kilometers away, long before any human could have possibly known about it. From that day on, the Hufeng Didong Yi was taken very seriously, and it was used by the court to dispatch aid and resources to earthquake-stricken regions more quickly and efficiently. This was a revolutionary leap in disaster response. Before Zhang Heng's invention, news of a distant earthquake might take weeks or even months to reach the capital. By then, it was often too late to send effective help. But with the seismoscope, the government could get an almost instant alert. It was a 2,000-year-old early warning system. So, why is this device so significant? First, it represents an incredible understanding of physics and engineering. Remember, this was long before the modern science of seismology was developed. The idea that the ground moved in waves and that these waves could be detected was groundbreaking. Zhang Heng understood that the initial shock wave, the primary or P wave, travels faster than the more destructive secondary or S wave. His device was sensitive enough to pick up that first tremor. Second, It highlights the advanced state of science and technology in Han Dynasty China. While Europe was in the midst of the Roman Empire, scholars like Zhang Heng were mapping stars, calculating the value of pi, and inventing machines that wouldn't be seen in the West for over 1,500 years. The first comparable seismograph in Europe wasn't invented until the 18th century, and it was far less sophisticated than Zhang Heng's creation. Sadly, the exact secrets of the internal mechanism died with Zhang Heng. Over the centuries, as dynasties rose and fell, the original seismoscope was lost. Historical texts describe it, but the detailed plans for how to build it vanished. For modern scientists and historians, it has become a fascinating puzzle. In recent decades, many have tried to recreate it. Using the historical descriptions, Chinese scientists in 2005 built a working replica. They tested it by simulating real earthquakes, and their models successfully identified the direction of the quakes, just as the ancient texts described. This modern recreation proved that the principles behind Zhang Heng's design were sound, and that such a device was entirely possible with the technology of the Han Dynasty. The story of Zhang Heng's seismoscope is more than just a cool piece of history. It's a reminder of human ingenuity and our timeless quest to understand and predict the forces of nature. It shows that incredible scientific breakthroughs can come from any time and any place. It challenges our modern perception that we are the pinnacle of technological achievement. Imagine the sheer genius it took to conceive of this idea 2,000 years ago, to observe the world so closely, to understand the unseen forces at play, and then to design and build a functional machine to interact with those forces. It's a testament to a mind that was truly ahead of its time. So the next time you hear about modern earthquake detection systems with their complex sensors and satellite data, take a moment to remember Zhang Heng and his bronze jar with dragons and toads. He was the first person in history to catch an earthquake, using nothing but mechanics, gravity, and an extraordinary intellect. His legacy isn't just a lost invention. It's an inspiration that shows the limitless potential of the human mind. Thanks for watching. If you found this story as fascinating as I did, hit that like button and subscribe for more dives into incredible history and science. Let me know in the comments what other ancient inventions you'd like to learn about. See you in the next video.